Okay, finally we get to speak up, everybody. This is the chance we've all been waiting for. So this time we address Senator Gerard Rennick and Malcolm Roberts, who are both senators currently in Parliament, currently in committees, currently asking a lot of questions in relation to COVID, lockdowns, vaccinations, and the purchasing of vaccines, immunity with Pfizer and Moderna, inside documents, military command, COVID task force commander, and so on. So, Gerard, I know you're an accountant. You like those statistics. So you've been watching all those numbers, and you must have some sort of indication as to the amount of deaths that have occurred in this country and the unreported injuries that have been palmed off to some other bracket of medical reporting. We could also say that over the last few years that medical reporting has been fudged, with doctors' reports now unable to be credible, given that it has since come out that these reports are not reliable on the death of the actual patient, when doctors have just added COVID as a statistic to that death, and that has carried out into the numbers that you see. So we can't be sure that anything that this Australian government has produced is actually factually correct in this matter, Gerard. So we need to look at quite a few other things at law, and I'm going to bring to your attention Supreme Court of New South Wales, wherein it has already been defined a curial right on that Supreme Court record, linking a line of authority to the Constitution. This kind of puts problem before you, in that a line of authority defined before Justice Lonergan has already defined war crimes against the state of New South Wales. These war crimes are relative to a Rule 92 international humanitarian law offence, Gerard. So, looking into the case that we have been through, having physically been tortured myself, according to international law, by the New South Wales Police, the New South Wales Corrective Services and Forensic Mental Health, started off by New South Wales Magistrates Courts, and all four of these entities have been named within Supreme Court record and detailed for very specific war crimes that go against Rule 90 and Rule 92 of the international humanitarian law. So, Gerard, we're looking at a Crown problem and a Hague problem here, and a Geneva problem in relation to the actions of a Governor-General and a COVID task force commander. Now, we know that there's external influences on that Governor-General in relation to the World Health Organization. So these people are obeying a foreign power under Section 80.1, Section 1 of the Criminal Code. They are working with a foreign interest at the World Health Organization and other organizations internationally. This puts the Governor-General in a hot seat directly when he's outside of the very Criminal Code 1995 for obeying the outside influence of the World Health Organization. There's some pretty serious stuff, Gerard, when we look at Rule 92, mutilation and medical, scientific or biological experiments. This includes medical experimentation, and this includes mutilation, Gerard. Now, I went through this making a direct accusation of the Governor-General, at which I am willing to stand up to in the High Court, having already sealed Kirill right before the Supreme Court of New South Wales, defining that before the Crimes Act 1900, New South Wales. So, Gerard, this is already a motion that is taking place. The ball is already rolling down the hill, so to speak, and it's just going to collect you all on the way down. And that's the unfortunate truth of the matter as we begin to rise and the people around us begin to realise that they've been hoodwinked by the Governor-General and conned. And this becomes a very big problem in that this saga already involves criminal actions of New South Wales Police and the failed command of New South Wales Police Commissioner, which is clearly demonstrated by the gangland wars that she's unable to maintain any sort of control over. So, Gerard, we're looking at something very important here that's already defined on the Supreme Court record, that US senators are obligated to adhere to, being the public servants that are obligated to all the laws of the Constitution and the Commonwealth. This is where we're at, Gerard. It's an unfortunate truth that this government has participated in mutilation and medical, scientific or biological experiments. It's very clear by the Biosecurity Act 2015 and the COVID Task Force Commander that was installed by the Governor-General. These are military command, and there's a Biosecurity Act designed to lock people out of their own land at the whim of the World Health Organization. There's a very direct demonstration that there are members of this government that are willing to openly go outside of Section 80.1 of the Criminal Code 1995, being treason, adhering to the wants or wills of a foreign or external power, being the World Health Organization. But these are very serious accusations, Gerard, that as defined on the Supreme Court record, include the death penalty. And there are members of this Parliament that should probably hang from the neck until dead for the crimes that they have committed. This is very obvious when a Justice of the Supreme Court is willing to acknowledge that those crimes have, in fact, taken place. It's the smartness of us to be able to take what a justice left for us and turn it into the reality that it is. And this is a curial right defined on the Supreme Court of New South Wales court record in correlation to the Crimes Act 1900 and an Australian Imperial Crown that is the true line of authority to the Constitution, so now defined on the court record. This puts you in a position of administration under the rules of usufruct, Gerard, under a foreign oath to a power foreign to the Commonwealth. This makes you administrators of that Constitution and not naked owners of that Constitution, Gerard. This puts you in a position of being accused of war crimes as a body, and that body includes you. This is the unfortunate truth, Gerard. We're making an accusation that the Governor-General is responsible for a heinous war crime, a crime against nature and a crime against humanity. A crime against nature being in that a modification of DNA has occurred, with evidences from the World Economic Forum that this was the modus operandi all along. There are very suspicious circumstances that are not being talked about by you at all, Gerard. There are other circumstances surrounding this entire, what would we call, a forced industrial revolution 4.0. And if this is their self-admittance that it is 4.0, this means they've done it to us 3 times before already. This is the fact of the matter, Gerard. We're dealing with a bunch of people that have put us into slavery in a fourth time loop. This is their way of putting their silver spoon on the table, and they believed that this COVID vaccination was going to form part of this digital slavery. There's evidences of this up the wahoo, Gerard, and just the mere fact that we can make accusations of mutilation and medical experimentation, and as described in the LOAC Manual 2006, the Governor-General is the command responsibility. This puts the Governor-General under what's called a Yamashita protocol. Alan Jones has spoken about this on the radio recently. I don't want to go backwards in time, but we're looking at a problem that has gone back as far as 15 years. This could probably go back a lot further. We know that administration has taken place, but there are factions within that government that have sought to take control of administration, and in doing that have gone outside of the rules of that administration and committed international war crimes. They're being caught out at their game, Gerard, and the tail is swinging between the legs when we are being ignored because of the fact that you as a government have committed international war crimes, grave crimes against humanity, against the population of the continent of Australia, against all peoples here, regardless of what they believe. You have inflicted this pain across and suffering across the country, where I've had dozens of people report to me as I go and tell me of the suffering that this government has caused upon them at the loss of their jobs for not wanting vaccines, or for taking vaccines and being injured and having to recover over 12 or 18 months and refusing to take second or third jabs because of it. You've had people on the media try and flog this with a wanton disgrace. Kyle Sandilands created a song and danced on the media, using the media as a con to get everyone to take up a vaccine, therefore demonstrating that this has nothing to do with a real health epidemic, given that media personalities were the ones used to promote it. This kind of demonstrates who the controllers of it are, when those within the military have command over the media as well, Gerard. This sort of becomes apparent now by the way Australians are treated by you, national government. And one would have to question the nationality of that government, given that you have taken an oath outside of this very constitution. You are outside of the line of authority as defined on the Supreme Court of New South Wales court record. This is the unfortunate truth, Gerard, and we wish for you to keep going, because the evidences that you bring forward only seek to back up everything that I have spoken. It also demonstrates that you are not a war criminal. It demonstrates that you have participated in good faith, in good governance, whereas other members around you seek to undermine the people and the very Constitution itself. The cleaning up of this house is coming because the people across this land are at severe disgrace of all of you in that parliament since the ousting of Gough Whitlam in 1975. It is that Great Seal of Australia that you use that harms the Commonwealth of Australia under Great Seal of the Commonwealth of Australia. This is the crux problem, in that you are merely administrators of God's estate. That's the unfortunate truth at Luke 15:14-15, Gerard, in that you boarded a foreign vessel in this land and took up its citizenship, and you were told to render unto that Caesar and render unto your gods. And if you can't remember the lineage of your gods in your Anzac that created that constitution and went to World War I and spilt blood to defend an entire land so that a people could live in harmony by still waters after that fact, then there is a grave, what shall we say, ignorance within the very building that they founded through God. Gerard, keep going. Malcolm, follow in Gerard's lead. Gerard seems to be completely on the ball here with many of the correct questions and is obviously watching the international media with an eagle eye to find out what these criminals have done and how they are connected in the international world. Now, I make an accusation on audio, Gerard, in that Obama is the responsible party here, having signed off on gain-of-function research, knowingly putting that gain-of-function research in Wuhan. It could be said that this was released on purpose by a faction or military power that has sought to undermine the world for a very long time. Fauci has now been connected to gain-of-function research and has been referred to the Department of Justice for lying before the Congress. It could be said that many of the politicians around you are lying to your face when they give you answers. Keep an eye out while they do this and catch them out with the receipts. This is all I can say as we move forward with a curial right so defined on the Supreme Court record, making accusations that you have committed grave criminal offences in government, in ignorance of certain international facts, now defined on the Supreme Court record as a curial right and line of authority established in the Constitution Act and at law through the Statute of Westminster 1931. We can go into depth about how the Menzies model came about and how they conned Australians into flying a flag foreign to their land. But that is for another audio, Gerard. Right now, my concern is that you document every single COVID thing that comes across your desk with the whole intent of charging these people at international law for the criminal offences that they have, in fact, committed. The Governor-General committed a grave mistake by committing to a COVID task force commander, Gerard. Look into the COVID task force commander and look into the committee where Jackie asks questions about how immunity takes place with Pfizer. Her comments are rather amusing in that she states, so if someone gets injured, they can't make any sort of claim for their injuries, and the guy sitting next to the COVID task force commander has a very big think about his answer, and his answer is a one word: no. These people have never cared about Australian citizens. You are looking at a military power sitting in a parliamentary committee, Gerard. This is a strange thing for a COVID task force commander to be sitting in your parliamentary committee in the first place. You need to look at that. Why would that man have been there to silence the voice or change the voice or drive the direction of the committee? Why would he be there to say, no, that's a national security issue, we aren't going to answer those questions? What has the Governor-General done, Gerard? Who did he do it for? Who's he linked to? What did the military chief say in front of the entire world when he addressed the world, when people were locked down, almost coming out of lockdown, when he addressed the world on all media? These are things that you should look into, Gerard, that will answer many questions as to who that COVID task force commander is sitting at that desk, and who that Governor-General is that doesn't say very much very often, and why there is never a sovereign that enters these lands. You might ask these questions given that the Supreme Court of New South Wales already did.